Hey, how's it going?
Hey, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well. I wasn't sure if you're on the East or West Coast.
East Coast for me.
Okay, okay,
I'm in South Florida.
okay. Nice and warm out there.
Oh,
I,
it's hot.
it's hot
It's
out
like
here.
it's like approaching it's approaching hell degrees.
As a, yeah, I always remember going to Orlando Disney and felt like you just couldn't, it just was so humid, just too humid. I could not imagine having to live in Florida. And I get
I
afraid of
love
just the
it.
fact that alligators just
I
seem to
absolutely
come.
love it.
What about the alligators? Do they just come
Yeah.
out into people's yards, or is it you have to be further away from lakes?
Look, I've been here for 4 years. I haven't seen one.
Okay.
So it's no different than when I was living in Australia. I never saw a koala bear. I saw plenty of kangaroos, but I never saw a koala bear. I probably saw a huntsman spider twice. So none of the scary stuff that people typically attribute to certain areas, I rarely ever see it. So I have not seen a gator yet.
Okay. Well, I thought
Iguanas, yes, but not gator.
I think kangaroos seem to be they seem to be a little fierce as well, though.
They are. And the thing about it is that in Australia, there's more kangaroos than there are people.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, more kangaroos than people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, goodness. Anyway, well, it's yeah. So whenever you said it'd be great just to get a picture. I mean, you're saying in Florida, but I always start off international audience because even though I'm here in the UK, I've got
Yep.
people out in the States, Southeast, sorry, South Asia, or Africa watching in. So I always like to get where you were sort of born and raised, and so we kind of map your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan.
yeah.
So the Motor City.
The Motor City.
But by the time, so growing up, you absorbed being in Detroit, you were able to absorb not just the music, but also just like the knowledge of the history of the whole Motown era and all the artists that came out of Detroit. At the same time, growing up and witnessing very talented people in Detroit, right? But by the time I was of age to where I felt like I was ready to be a professional, I was 15, mind you, when I thought that.
Yeah.
Um, by that time, the a lot of the opportunities and a lot of the industry was not based in Detroit.
Oh,
So you had to go elsewhere, or someone had to come through and recognize you and, sort of pull you out.
so did they move? What time? What year did Motown leave the Hitsville and the?
That was a long time ago, and I don't remember the exact date. I'd have to research
Were
that,
you still
but
around? I mean, were
I was a
they?
kid.
Yeah, you were a kid, so they would have still been around when you were growing up.
Yeah, I was a little kid. So by the time I was dabbling with music and on a serious level, there was no record industry in Detroit.
Oh,
The only thing
okay.
that was even like something that you could point to was Hitsville, the
And
museum.
oh, just
That's it. I mean, but there was plenty of recording studios, plenty of talent. Like Detroit is still like one of the most talented places as far as what you can find a lot of raw talent. It's just all
yeah,
about like, okay, how long will it take you to find it? Because the
yeah.
whole time Eminem was there, I was there. Um, these brothers named Tim and Ted, who wound up moving, they went down before me. My brother did, and they were the first two of the first producers to work with
Oh,
Usher.
Tim above me.
No, Tim and Ted.
Oh, there's somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a Tim and Ted and a Tim and Bob. Tim and Bob were coming from Chicago, but Tim and Ted were actually from Detroit.
Oh, from
But
Detroit.
by the time I met Tim and Bob, Tim and Ted were already down in Atlanta. They were
Okay.
at LaFace. Yeah.
Okay. Just going back a little bit though, I mean, how did you get into music as a kid? I mean, because I think for those of us who see America from the outside, it's a lot of sports
Yeah.
and stuff. But for you, why did you gravitate to music?
I think I can't say I have a definitive answer as to why I gravitate to music, other than I tend to believe that music is either in you or it's not,
Mm,
right? So if it's in you, it's all about like, okay, at what point, what's going to trigger it? Sort of like I have asthma. I've had it since I was a newborn, but it was triggered. And there was
mm.
an event that triggered it. Had that event not happened, I probably wouldn't deal with asthma. So I was just like watching, I mean, you had Stevie Wonder, you had the whole Motown era and all that. I always heard music. My mother always sung music, and my father listened to a lot of jazz, but my mom would listen to music, and it's to the point where we heard music so much it was almost as if she was singing it all, right? But it was always playing. So I think I want to say the first artist that I saw that inspired me in a way that made me want to get into music on the level of being a songwriter, producer, and a multi instrumentalist, that would have been Prince.
Wow.
Of course, you had Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson was showing you a whole nother thing, like that the level of entertainment was just as an entertainer on the level that he was on. It was incredible. Prince was different because it was almost like with Prince, it was when he was on stage, it was almost like an example of like, or an extension of this is what I do in the studio, but here it is on stage. So I was fascinated with hearing one of his first interviews where he said that he wrote all the songs and produced all the music. I was like, oh, that would be interesting. And I thought that was interesting because you wouldn't, if you made it, if you set it up that way, then you would not be completely dependent upon others to create or to finish an idea,
Yeah.
you know.
But
So
what
that's
came
how
first for you then? Did the singing come or playing the instruments?
I want to say for me, it was all of it. I was interested in singing and instruments at the same time. But of course, with the vocal being the most accessible instrument that we all have, because it's
Yeah.
built within us,
Yeah.
I started singing, you know. And it was ironic because my older brother Joe used to tease me when I was a kid. And he used to say, "Man, you sound like a country singer when you sing." It was hilarious because I would just sing things that I like. And then once I started, my first instrument that my mother bought for me was actually um, it was a guitar actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I started out on guitar first, and then I moved to keyboard because my fingertips started to callus. I didn't like that, so I went to my brother. Because my brother's first instrument was keyboards. I said, "Bro, can you teach me how to play that keyboard? Because my fingertips are in pain." He says, "No, I'm not teaching you anything. So nobody taught me." I said, "Come on, man, please." He says, "No, you can watch, but teach yourself." So I taught myself.
Was your brother into singing and producing or as playing instruments or
We were all, me and my brother Joe were into the same things.
okay.
We were
Okay.
both into songwriting, singing, producing. But if you let him tell it, he will say that I took the lead on the singing and production part.
But
Because when I would
yeah. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, because when I would create music, I would just create these interesting pieces of music, like instrumental pieces. And I had like when I first started writing songs, I had no structure. I was just going for whatever I felt. It was whatever it felt good to me.
Mm.
And it was my brother Joe who was the driver of structure, and song structure is important, and repetition, and he even taught me how to um, ad lib and harmonize because I just use my solo vocal. But when he taught me how to ad lib, he said, "Oh, you got to kind of like sing things in between what's being said in the chorus, and you got to sing this note on top of that note." So my brother was very instrumental in that. He did teach me things about vocals, but would not teach me anything about keyboards. So it was funny.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind.
And somewhere in between.
For even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas Boys and men and all spirits.
play it. I mean, I love all different genres.